Hi everyone, welcome to Human Biology. I'm Professor Gustin and I'm going to go over the syllabus. So you were just here in the Welcome Start here and now you want to go to this syllabus module. And when you get into that module, so you click on that and you'll end up right here. And what you will see is all these different sections, and they tell you what they are. This one says it's a Word document. So here's the Human Biology course syllabus, the actual Word document. I think most people do the best if they have a hard copy. I refer to the syllabus all the time, so I highly recommend that you print this. And to open the syllabus, you're going to click on the link, and then it opens here, and there it is. And if you go down here, it has a little link there where you can print. What I find is if you use the print link down here, a lot of times the formatting isn't just right. So I highly recommend that you click download, and that will download it onto your computer. In fact, so let me see, I can pull this up here. So mine downloads up to here, and there's the syllabus. So if you click on that link, that will bring you to the Word document. And there it is. Okay. So get that printed out. And I'm just going to go through this as you would in a live class. The syllabus is really important. It's my contract with you for what you need to do to get the course done. So here we go. Here's the course information. I'm Professor Gustin. I prefer that you call me Professor Gustin. There's my email. That's where my office is, and my phone number. And it says the most reliable way to contact me is by email for an online class. Now, and I'm always looking for emails from my online students. So please contact me when you're having a problem or you just want to chat. And here you have, I actually have live office hours. Even though you're an online student, you are welcome to come to my live office hours. They're in Schuyler Hall, SCH 208, Schuyler Hall on the CCC campus. And you can see the hours here, Monday 11 to 12, 1 to 2, all these. I'll be in the office at that time, but also don't hesitate to make an appointment. This semester I have 2 different online classes and 1 live class. So I have a lot of flexibility in my time, and if you're on campus and you want to come talk to me live, and it's not within those office hours, email me and we'll schedule a time that I'll make sure I'm here. You can also get virtual office hours, and again, by phone or email, we can set up a time, and I can send you a little link and we can do a little virtual call on the computer. There's the course description and the learning outcomes, and that you would see in the catalog. And our textbook information, you're going to purchase something called McGraw-Hill Connect. And what that is it will get you an ebook, and it will also get you some materials that will help you, that you will use in lab, and you'll also be doing some quizzing and kinds of things. So you definitely need the McGraw-Hill Connect. One of the things we're going to do this semester is, like any semester, you're going to have lots of exams. Lecture exams and the final exams are proctored, and I proctor them remotely using a program called Respondus. And in order to use Respondus, you need a computer with a webcam. It has to have a microphone and a webcam. If you don't have one, you need to get one. I have one on my computer that I'm filming myself right now on, and it cost about $30 or $40 at Best Buy. So they're easy to come by, but you need one in order to be able to take the exams. A lot of laptops have them built in, so you might not need one if you have a laptop. Chromebooks do not work with Respondus. As far as I know, that's not the case unless they've changed it since I last checked into that. But if you're using a Chromebook, you probably are going to need to arrange for a different device when you're doing a proctored exam. So plan that ahead. If you're in a pinch and you don't have a computer that works well and you can't buy a camera, there are a limited number of laptop computers available at the CCC library. And like I said, it's a limited number. So what you need to do is call or stop. Well, you're going to have to stop by the library, but you can call them and see if they have any available, and then stop by and pick it up. What they will do is loan you the computer for free for the entire semester. If you do that, ask them to install Respondus. One of the problems with using a college laptop is you can't save anything onto the laptop. So, including software like Respondus. So when you pick it up, ask them to install Respondus software. Let's see, there are also, I think there's actually 2 computers now in the CCC Learning Commons on the main campus where Respondus software is installed. When we get closer to that time, if you want to use a computer on campus with Respondus, you are welcome to do that, but I'll have to tell you where it is. So you have to either call the library or ask me to ask them which computers have Respondus on them. The thing to remember is if you're going to take your exams in the Learning Commons has much more limited hours than you would have at home. In fact, I don't think they're open on the weekends. So check the Learning Commons hours and make sure that you're able to access that computer at the time that you want to take the test. STEM Academy students. If you don't know if you're a STEM Academy student, you aren't one. You would know it if you were. In the past, I've had problems with STEM Academy students because they have school-issued laptops and they do not have Respondus on them. You need to act now. Go to your school administrator and ask them to put Respondus on your computer. Find out how to do that. I've had students that it took a while to get it on there and they missed exams and whatnot. So you need to act now to go talk to your school administrator about putting Respondus software on your computer. All sorts of technical things happen in online classes. Sometimes I do something wrong. Sometimes students have operator errors. Sometimes there's a problem internally that we don't have any, it's neither of our faults. But one of the things, if you're having technical problems, is to contact your instructor. Contact me, email me and say, I'm having a problem. It doesn't mean I can solve your problem. What it means is if I see a lot of students having the same problem or multiple students having the same problem, it alerts me that something bigger might be involved. It might not be you. It might be something I did, or it might be something internal. So let me know and I can tell you what I know. Meanwhile, you might want to contact the CCC IT department, and it tells you how to contact them here. Also, it could be a McGraw-Hill problem, and it shows you some information on how to contact them there. So be patient with it. Plan to have technical problems. It's almost, you guys have been using computers for a while now, and technical problems pop up, and they're always at the most inconvenient time. And if you're trying to do all of your materials 2 hours before the due date, the deadline, and you have a technical problem, there might be nothing you can do. So account on technical problems. Just because you're having a technical problem and you've waited to the last minute doesn't mean you get to hand in the assignment late. So plan ahead, expect technical problems, and don't wait for everything for the last minute. Assignment due dates and missed assignments, you can see that here, and it gives you a little information on that. It says assignments for all weekly modules will be posted on the Friday before the Monday of the week, and the start you can see the start dates for the week, and the due dates are on the syllabus. All the assignments except the final exam are going to be due at 11:59 p.m., 1 minute before midnight on Tuesday of the following week. And so all of those due dates are written. I'm going to go back here on the course schedule. There's the assignments for the week. Here we're in week 1. There's the assignments for the week. There's your due date. I said, look at all those due dates say Tuesday, except the final exam, which is due on a Thursday. And we'll talk about that. Please be respectful of due dates. Late assignments will receive no credit. And read this: on rare occasions due to date due dates can be extended, and this is for somebody having a real problem. If there's a problem that you can resolve quickly and you need a slight extension, I may consider doing that. I won't do it over and over again, but contact me if you're having a serious problem. Otherwise, everything's due on the Tuesdays at 1 minute before midnight. It also says it's not recommended that you take important assignments like exam hours before a due date. If you have an internet or computer problem, you would be unable to request an extension on that due date. So you need to request an extension before the due date happens. Okay? You need to request an extension before the due date happens. Hear what I'm telling you. You must ask me for a due date extension by contacting me at least 24 hours before the due date and requesting the extension. In your request, you tell me when you would like the new due date and time, and I will reflect on that, and then I'll get back to you. So read this carefully. This is really important when you're getting behind. Right here, the final exam due date is on the class schedule. It's on a Thursday at noon. Late final exams will be dropped by 10%. You will see by the end of the semester, I will remind you over and over again that the final exam is due at Thursday at noon. And there's always somebody who says, oh, I thought it was due on Tuesday, or I thought it was due at midnight. So I'm going to automatically drop those grades by 10%. And I'm going to remind you of this over and over, more towards the end of the semester. Missed assignments, late assignments receive no credit. Contact me with significant problems related to due dates. Here's just some ideas about what I've seen work for students. Get a 3-ring binder, print the syllabus, print your lecture study guide and your notes, and then you can sit with the 3-ring notebook studying. We all know when you sit there on the computer doing things that it gets really distracting. It's really easy to find something else to do. So I strongly recommend printing things out. You want to print out the lab handout and put them in your 3-ring binder. In fact, the lab quizzes come mostly from those lab handouts. So if you have the lab handout with the answers right there in front of you, you can do the lab quiz more easily. Each module will have a lecture study guide, and the lecture study guide is where you're going to write in your notes. And so it's a list of what I want you to know for that module. You can type right onto the lecture study guide, or you can get a hard copy of the lecture study guide and write notes into it by hand, whichever way works for you. That's what you're going to study for your exams. Using lecture videos and SmartBook readings to complete lecture study guide. So for each lecture study guide, there will be videos, and they're videos of me lecturing, and there's some PowerPoints. So their lecture videos corresponding to each section of the lecture study guide are posted in Brightspace for each weekly module. Most students will use the lecture study guide to fill out the learning outcomes and vocabularies in that lecture study guide. So you'll see it. The videos will go right along with that lecture study guide that you've printed out. You can also use the SmartBook to help fill out the lecture study guides. You don't want to listen to the videos, you can go to the SmartBook. Although I highly recommend looking at the videos because sometimes I say things in there that aren't in the book. But the book gives you kind of a duplicate thing to read. So if you want to find the SmartBook, you click on any lecture assignment in Connect, and you'll see that when you get there. And then you can go to Start Reading, and there'll be highlighted parts in the book that we're actually covering in lecture. Lecture assignments, they're also called SmartBook assignments. And so once you've filled in your lecture study guide, you review the material, you try to start committing it to memory because this is what you're going to be quizzed on for your exams. And then you go into Brightspace and you find the link for the lecture assignment. I call them LA. And you do this part that says start the questions. And you start answering the questions based on the study guide that you just completed. Now you can pause and go between answering questions and go back to the reading. You can click on go to the reading, start reading link, and that'll bring you to the part of the book where the answer is to the question. So the lecture assignments, you don't have to memorize everything, but you want to make sure you understand it well enough that you can kind of quiz yourself on it through these lecture assignments. The lecture assignments are something we call adaptive learning. So if you get questions correct while you're doing the lecture assignment, it brings you on to the next topic. If you keep getting a certain group of questions wrong, it'll ask you more questions about that topic. You won't hurt your grade will not go down, but you'll just get more questions. The more you get wrong, the longer it will take to get through it. Okay, so it's just a way to quiz you to say, did you read this well enough? Are you getting the main points? So your lecture assignment grade is based on the percent of questions you completed. You will not lose, the percent of questions. So as long as you answer 100% of the questions, you'll get 100% on that grade. Usually they're at a 10 or something like that. If you're doing a lecture assignment, one of these LA lecture assignments where you're doing the questions and you get interrupted, you need to take a break, you can stop in the middle of it and come back to it later. It will not impact your grade as long as you've completed the lecture assignment by the due date. You'll see in McGraw-Hill Connect something called recharge. So once you've completed a lecture assignment, your grade will automatically be entered in the grade sheet in Brightspace. And then McGraw-Hill will change the name of the lecture assignment and write recharge after it. And recharge means you can go do that lecture assignment again and not impact your original grade. So for example, you completed a lecture assignment. Now it's time to study for the exam a week later. You can go back to that lecture assignment because after the due date it will say recharge, and you can do the whole thing again, and you won't lose your grade. You'll keep this original lecture assignment grade. So recharge is a nice way to review for exams. There you will see lab handouts posted, and there's one in each week in Brightspace. I recommend that you print those out and put them in your lab book. The lab activities, a lot of the lab activities are what we call virtual labs, VL, and they're associated with your SmartBook. They're associated with McGraw-Hill Connect. When you complete the virtual lab, you will earn full credit. So as soon as you complete the virtual lab, the grade will go right into Brightspace. So again, the virtual labs in the lab handouts will, the grade is dependent upon how much you've completed. It's not, if you get something wrong, it gives you a chance to go back and rethink it. So you only lose points if you don't complete it. I also have, so we have virtual labs on the lab handout, and there's also lab quizzes. And the lab quizzes are taken from questions that are on the lab handout. So you'll see a lab quiz in Brightspace, and after you've completed the lab handout and you understand it, then you can take the lab quiz. Here's a student withdrawal policy. I can't take you out of the course unless you've never attended the course. Completing even a single assignment will count as attending. So if you want to withdraw from this course, it has to be by 11:59 p.m. by the end of week 9. If you stop attending, you've done some assignments, but you stop attending, I cannot drop you from the class. You need to drop yourself if you intend to drop by week 9. All of your grades will be posted in Brightspace. If anything looks wrong, let me know as soon as you see it. I don't, at the end of the semester, if you say, oh, there was something in week 3 and something's wrong, I'm not going to fix it. You need to let me know within a week or so. After you take a test or a quiz, a total grade will appear in the grade sheet instantly in Brightspace. This grade reflects the grades for only those questions that can be graded automatically in Brightspace. If there are questions on the quiz that are short answer questions that I have to grade by hand, your immediate grade will not, those will probably be marked wrong. So once I grade the quizzes by hand, I grade the short answer questions and the tests by hand, then your grade will be the normal. It will go up to whatever your actual grade should be. I don't do grading until after the due date, most of the time. Sometimes I start early, but it will be graded right after the due date. If you want to see what you got wrong on quizzes and tests in Brightspace, it tells you how to do that here. I will remind you that it tells you that. So some people say go through and they never look at what they got wrong, but you can see what you got wrong after the due date. So read this section. Here's your course grades. Here's all the points. We have 4 exams, a final exam. Here's all those lecture assignments that are the McGraw-Hill Connect assignments. Here's all the labs. The labs can be virtual labs plus the lab quizzes. So there they are for a total of 810 points. And you can see the grading scale. Oh, here's another basic needs statement. You can read that. If at any time you're facing any basic needs issues, food insecurity, housing insecurity, etc., mental health support, there are resources on campus. So please take advantage of those. Do not feel like you're the only one that has these kind of issues. These services are here because we get a lot of students that are in need of these kinds of helps with food, housing, mental health support. So contact, use those numbers and see if you can get some help. Finally, here's your class schedule. Look at this frequently. Here we are, week 1. We're in the week of August 25th. We're doing scientific method. Here's your lab topic. Here's all the assignments you'll see in Brightspace. Here's how many points, and here's the due date. So you will see all of these things in your week 1 Brightspace module. Week 2, you'll go there, okay? The weeks here, I have them starting on Monday, but I'll set them up for the Friday before the week starts. So, so you're welcome to start on Friday. You're welcome to start early on them if they're available to you. Notice here, I'm going to tell you again, the final exam is due at 12 noon on Thursday, December 11th, whereas everything else is due at a Tuesday, 1 minute before midnight. Okay. Print this out. Look at this syllabus. Read it carefully. If you have a question, look first on the syllabus, and second, contact me. Good luck, and from here, excuse me, from here go to the scientific method section. Go to the next module. Take care.